Deep beneath the windswept sandstone cliffs of Utah's Uinta Basin lies a 512-acre parcel of land that has quietly baffled topographers, defense researchers, and private field scientists for decades. Skinwalker Ranch has earned international fame as a focal point for inexplicable aerial craft, localized magnetic anomalies, and sudden equipment disruptions. Yet for years, field teams focusing their sensor arrays strictly on the sky may have missed the physical source of the strangeness entirely. A growing body of empirical ground penetration data suggests that the true epicenter of this phenomenon is not drifting in the atmosphere, but is physically anchored hundreds of feet below the surface, embedded directly inside the stone plateau known as the Mesa. For generations, regional oral history and early land surveys referenced an artificial structural anomaly hidden along the northern wall of the bluff. Mid-20th century aerial photographs revealed a localized debris field of collapsed sandstone that seemed inconsistent with natural erosion, pointing instead to a deliberate rock slide triggered to conceal a deep cavern opening. Verifying the existence of a hollow vault inside solid rock was long considered impossible without industrial excavation. That barrier fell when modern scientific teams deployed multi-frequency subsurface imaging arrays to scan the interior of the ridge. The investigative effort began with deep penetration ground radar, seismic sounding arrays, and cosmic ray muon scans. When computational models processed the return signals, the diagnostic data yielded an extraordinary finding. Instead of revealing solid continuous sandstone bedrock throughout the ridge, the scans revealed a massive horizontal void extending deep into the heart of the mesa. Surrounding this subterranean chamber was a dense, highly reflective boundary that bounced diagnostic radar pulses back with high intensity. The imaging models rendered a smooth, uniform outer perimeter, a structural characteristic almost never found in natural limestone or sandstone caverns formed by groundwater flow. To verify the remote sensing data, field directors authorized a targeted horizontal drilling operation along the lower slope of the ridge. Using high-powered rotary core drills equipped with diamond-impregnated cutting bits, operators pushed exploratory shafts step by step into the bluff. For the first 40 feet, core samples retrieved from the bore consisted of standard iron-rich desert sandstone. But as the drill bit reached the exact boundary map by the radar scans, the machinery hit an unexpected structural wall. The torque gauge on the drilling rig spiked instantly, and the rotating steel assembly ground to a complete halt against an impenetrable layer. When technicians extracted the drill string to inspect the cutting head, they found the diamond teeth severely sheared and coated in a dark, vitrified slurry. Laboratory analysis of the recovered core debris revealed ultra-dense stone fused directly alongside a non-natural metallic compound. Field geologists noted that such vitrified rock and engineered composite materials do not form naturally within sedimentary formations. The presence of these altered minerals deep inside the mesa raised an immediate, critical question. Had the drill bit struck a buried human structure, or had it made contact with something entirely unmapped? As crew members prepared to flush the shaft and deploy optic cameras, monitoring gear inside the command trailer logged severe electronic interference. Radio spectrum analyzers recorded a localized signal spiking on a precise 1.6 GHz frequency band long associated with unusual events across the pasture. Simultaneously, magnetic sensors positioned along the base of the mesa registered a sudden surge in localized magnetic levels, jumping far above the regional background average within seconds. The simultaneous appearance of a solid mechanical barrier, fused metallic compounds, and active energy surges made one thing clear. The subterranean space inside the mesa was not an empty geological crack. The team had opened a direct path to a sealed, energy-dense environment that reacted dynamically to physical intrusion. Determined to establish visual contact inside the anomaly, engineers guided a heavily shielded optic camera probe into the narrow shaft. As the camera cleared the crushed outer rock layer and entered the perimeter of the void, its high-intensity lights illuminated a striking scene. The lens revealed a smooth, cylindrical corridor extending straight into the darkness, a tunnel whose walls appeared fused and polished into a glass-like sheen. But as the probe advanced, onboard thermal sensors recorded a rapid, inexplicable drop in air temperature, plunging far below freezing in a matter of seconds. At the far end of the vitrified passage, framed by fallen rock and fine mineral dust, stood a massive sealed metallic portal. The high-definition camera probe positioned inside the newly uncovered channel focused directly on the dark portal blocking the end of the corridor. Illuminated by the probe's intense LED array, the metallic barrier presented a remarkably smooth, unbroken surface. Standing approximately 8 feet tall, the structure fit flush against the surrounding fusestone wall, without any visible mortar, industrial rivets, heavy hinges, or external mechanical latches. Remarkably, the outer surface showed no signs of iron rust, mineral scaling, or structural degradation typically observed on metal objects long buried in damp underground settings. To gather physical data regarding the barrier's structural integrity, operators deployed a secondary robotic crawler equipped with an ultrasonic measuring sensor down the shaft. Standard ultrasonic diagnostic tools function by sending high-frequency sound waves into a material and calculating its thickness based on the time it takes for the echo to bounce back from the inner boundary. However, when the crawler pressed its sensor tip against the dark surface, the diagnostic software failed to calculate a reading. The sound waves emitted by the tool were completely absorbed by the material, producing a zero echo response that left the diagnostic system unable to measure its true depth. While the crawler continued its physical testing, environmental monitors across the surface of Skinwalker Ranch registered a series of sudden coordinated disruptions. In the central trailer, primary power supplies experienced rapid voltage fluctuations, causing field computers and telemetry displays to flicker. Radio monitoring equipment logged a wide spectrum surge that broadened beyond the initial transmission band, filling localized frequencies with intense static. Field technicians stationed along the upper rim of the mesa reported a subtle, low vibration hum echoing through the rock beneath their boots, accompanied by a noticeable shift in atmospheric pressure across the pasture. Inside the subterranean shaft, environmental instruments on the crawler recorded a rapid and severe thermal drop. Within less than a minute, the air temperature immediately surrounding the dark barrier dropped from 32 degrees Fahrenheit down to far below zero. The sudden extreme cold caused atmospheric moisture introduced through the open drill hole to instantly freeze, coating the surrounding glass-like stone walls and the crawler's primary optic lens in a thick layer of white frost. This rapid cooling effect occurred without any detectable release of pressurized refrigerant gas or chemical residue. The thermal shift appeared to be an operational side effect of the metallic structure itself as it adjusted to the physical presence of the diagnostic crawler. Driven to obtain a direct sample of the alloy before the freezing conditions jammed the crawler's mechanical joints, technicians extended a high-speed microgrinder tipped with an industrial diamond cutting wheel toward the bottom edge of the portal. The instant the spinning diamond disc made contact with the metallic surface, a bright pale blue electrical discharge arced outward from the barrier, striking the crawler's tool arm. The electrical surge traveled straight through the vehicle's internal control circuits, instantly disabling its main processing board and cutting the live video feed back to the surface. At that exact moment, surface magnetometers recorded a sudden spike in magnetic activity directly along the drill path, surging to levels dozens of times higher than normal desert background readings. The violent electrical response and sudden energy shifts proved that the subterranean barrier was not simply an inactive slab of metal left over from an old mining shaft. It operated as an active component of a larger energy-dense system capable of responding directly to physical intrusion. The loss of the secondary crawler forced the research team to halt mechanical operations and rethink their entire approach. To determine why an active, energy-emitting structure existed deep inside the mesa, investigators turned to historical, public archives, and government logistics files, searching for records of past excavation projects in the region that might explain the origin of this buried facility. With direct mechanical intervention paused following the electrical blowout of the secondary crawler, investigators turned toward historical archives to help contextualize what they had just encountered. Researchers systematically pulled land office records, regional mining permits, and declassified federal logistics logs from the mid-20th century. What they uncovered in public documents suggested that the modern research team was not the first group to encounter unusual structures hidden within the mesa. Records indicate that during the early 1960s, under the broad oversight of federal energy and defense agencies, specialized geological survey crews operated extensively across eastern Utah. Officially tasked with searching for strategic mineral reserves and industrial uranium deposits, several of these operations involved heavy excavation equipment, flatbed transport trucks, and specialized deep drilling machinery. Logistics logs reveal that a private engineering firm working under a government contract established a temporary field office near the northern perimeter of Skinwalker Ranch in the autumn of 1962. Local land entries and private accounts from residents living in the Uinta Basin at the time noted unusual round-the-clock activity around the base of the bluff. Heavy machinery operated continually for nearly 3 months, protected by restricted access points along rural county roads. Then, in the spring of 1963, the project abruptly shut down without an official explanation. Federal records indicate that the contract crew abandoned their temporary structures, backfilled access trenches with hundreds of tons of crushed stone, and placed all field documentation under security restrictions. To determine whether that early government project had built the buried portal or had simply attempted to breach an existing structure, modern technicians prepared a third exploration rover. Built with heavy electromagnetic shielding and fitted with independent power routing, the vehicle carried high-resolution cameras, multi-angle laser distance scanners, and short-range ground sensors designed to inspect the passage without making direct physical contact. As the reinforced rover slowly rolled down the glass-like corridor toward the sealed portal, its lighting array brought critical historical details into clear view. Lying scattered near the base of the dark metallic barrier, partially covered by fallen sandstone fragments and fine mineral dust, were the corroded remains of legacy industrial drilling equipment. The rover's camera identified flattened steel drill bits, heavy copper cabling with melted insulation, and crushed steel junction boxes dating precisely to the early 1960s. Close visual inspection of the abandoned machinery revealed severe structural damage. The legacy steel drill stems were twisted and scorched, showing signs of intense heat exposure identical to the damage suffered by modern tools just hours earlier. This physical evidence offered a clear historical timeline. The mid-century contract workers had not constructed the metallic barrier. They had tried to drill through an pre-existing structure, an attempt that apparently ended in a massive electrical discharge, heavy equipment failure, and the immediate decision to seal off the site. While the rover recorded these historical remains, monitoring equipment in the Surface Operations Module detected a subtle shift in the background radio signal. The 1.6 GHz transmission, which had previously spiked as random noise during physical impacts, settled into a steady rhythmic cadence. Spectrum analyzers showed a structured binary pattern repeating at precise 3-second intervals. The data speed and signal structure changed in real time whenever the rover's laser distance scanner swept across the surface of the barrier. The subterranean system was not just blocking access, it was actively processing the optical and electromagnetic signals thrown at it, responding with a continuous digital loop transmitted directly through the rock face. The discovery that the subterranean binary transmission adjusted its output in real time as the rover's laser swept across the barrier marked a critical breakthrough. Signal analysts in the command trailer realized that continuing to use heavy machinery or high-speed cutting tools against the portal was counterproductive. Every direct physical impact simply triggered an automated electrical counter-discharge, neutralizing electronic sensors and boosting the localized magnetic barrier. To move beyond the blockage, the scientific team needed to stop forcing entry and instead match the operational frequency of the system itself. Engineers set up a high-output signal transmitter connected to a directional antenna pointing straight down the exploratory borehole. The plan was straightforward: capture the incoming 1.6 GHz signal, generate its exact inverse, and transmit that customized wave back into the vitrified passage. By sending an inverted signal timed to match the exact cadence of the subterranean transmission, the team hoped to create destructive signal interference, neutralizing the surrounding static field and allowing the mechanical barriers to disengage. The moment the inverted transmission began broadcasting down the shaft, monitoring instruments across the mesa recorded an immediate shift. The intense magnetic fields surrounding the metallic barrier, which had previously surged to dangerous levels, collapsed instantly down to normal background readings. At the exact same time, the broad-spectrum static-filling local radio channels cleared, leaving only a quiet, stable frequency band running through the underground space. Inside the vitrified corridor, the severe thermal plunge reversed just as quickly. The air temperature surrounding the portal rose from below zero back to 54 degrees Fahrenheit in less than a minute, melting the frost layer along the polished stone walls. The low thrumming vibration that had echoed through the rock face ceased entirely, filling the underground passage with absolute acoustic silence. With the localized energy field disarmed, operators moved the rover up to the edge of the barrier and deployed an acoustic transducer array. The tool applied precise, targeted sound waves across the frame, cycling through different tones until hitting the natural resonant pitch of the metal alloy. As the acoustic waves hit the correct frequency, a heavy mechanical thud echoed through the stone channel. Internal locking pins disengaged deep inside the rock wall. The central seam of the portal parted slightly, releasing a soft, pressurized cloud of dry, inert gas into the passage. The dark, metallic doors slid smoothly backward into hidden slots built inside the surrounding rock wall, revealing a pale, steady blue light glowing from within the newly opened inner space. The rover rolled across the open doorway and entered a massive circular cavern carved directly into the ancient bedrock far beneath the sandstone ridge. Measuring over 100 feet across, the chamber featured smooth basalt walls lined with vertical crystalline channels that glowed with a quiet, steady illumination. At the very center of the room, hovering completely in mid-air without any visible supports, hung a massive technological object that left the entire field crew in silent awe. Hovering 15 feet above a polished basalt floor at the center of the cavern was a massive seamless sphere approximately 12 feet in diameter. The object's exterior appeared dark and semi-translucent, constructed from an ultra-dense composite material that showed no visible joints, surface rivets, or structural seams. A soft, pale blue light pulsed rhythmically from deep within the sphere's outer shell in a steady 3-second cadence, matching with mathematical precision the exact timing of the radio bursts tracked across Skinwalker Ranch for years. The rover's thermal instruments recorded an extraordinary temperature profile surrounding the floating object. While the ambient air inside the circular room remained stable at 54 degrees Fahrenheit, the outer surface of the sphere registered at minus 180 degrees Fahrenheit. Remarkably, despite this extreme cold, no frost or moisture condensed on the composite shell. The freezing temperature was completely contained within a thin, sub-inch boundary layer surrounding the object, creating a localized thermal envelope that defied standard heat transfer rules. Laser distance meters pointed directly at the levitating sphere logged immediate beam deflections. Sensors firing laser pulses toward the center of the object returned fluctuating distance readings that jumped erratically by dozens of feet, indicating that space-time immediately surrounding the sphere was experiencing localized optical and gravitational distortion. This bending of light and distance provided a direct physical explanation for the persistent altitude errors on navigation systems and the visual optical mirages reported by field teams on the surface for decades. Directly beneath the suspended sphere, embedded flush into the polished stone floor, was a circular network of geometric channels filled with a liquid-like, highly conductive metallic compound. High-resolution camera feeds showed that these floor channels connected directly to the vertical crystalline silica tracks running up the cavern walls. The entire chamber operated as an interconnected energy grid, drawing power from deep within the earth and directing it upward toward the mesa above. As the rover moved closer to the central floor grid to record higher resolution video, the pulsing blue light inside the sphere suddenly intensified. The steady 3-second radio signal changed instantly, shifting into a rapid data transmission that broadcast thousands of digital binary sequences per second into the surrounding space. Sensors on the rover logged a smooth, rotating shift in the room's magnetic field around the central axis of the cavern. In response to the changing magnetic currents, the liquid metal inside the floor channels began to circulate, flowing smoothly through the geometric pattern. The deep facility was not a forgotten ruin or an abandoned shelter. It was a fully functional, self-sustaining technological node actively responding to human presence inside its primary vault. The discovery of the floating composite sphere, the liquid metal floor grid, and the active data stream offered clear physical proof that an advanced, energy-dense infrastructure was operating beneath the desert floor. The investigation had moved far beyond stories and theories, revealing an active underground facility tied directly to the strange energy phenomena seen across the property. With the primary chamber unsealed and its central artifact documented, researchers face the monumental task of determining who constructed this deep Earth network, how long it has been running, and what its ultimate purpose is. The systematic exploration of the Mesa corridor and the direct physical documentation of its central basalt vault mark a decisive turning point in the scientific investigation of Skinwalker Ranch. For decades, discussions surrounding this 512-acre parcel of high desert were largely shaped by local folklore, anecdotal reports of unusual aerial phenomena, and unverified field speculation. By applying deep penetration radar, core drilling, signal phase matching, and direct robotic exploration, the team has successfully shifted the topic out of regional myth and firmly into the domain of empirical research. The data captured across every phase of this subsurface investigation establish several foundational, verified findings. Engineered subterranean complex. The interior of the mesa is not solely of natural sandstone rock layers. It contains a highly structured underground facility featuring vitrified stone corridors, a central basalt chamber, and a dense metallic portal designed to absorb extreme physical force and resist conventional thermal cutting. Direct subterranean surface connection. The persistent high-strangeness events recorded across the property, including localized magnetic spikes, GPS altitude tracking errors, rapid battery drainage, and rhythmic 1.6 GHz signal bursts, are direct environmental emissions linked to an active power and data architecture operating beneath the bedrock. Dynamic electromagnetic and acoustic interactions. Automated energy defenses and sudden localized temperature drops inside the passage responded dynamically to physical contact, but were effectively neutralized through phase-inverted radio transmissions and targeted acoustic pitch resonance. Historical government excavations. Abandoned 1960s-era drill stems and scorched heavy copper cabling recovered near the portal confirm that past government-contracted geological operations attempted to breach the structure in 1962, triggering a massive electrical feedback event that led to the abrupt closure of the project. While these physical discoveries provide solid material proof of an underground facility, critical scientific questions remain unanswered. Responsible researchers must carefully separate confirmed physical observations from unproven speculation. While the presence of engineered metal portals, a levitating composite sphere, liquid metal floor conduits, and structured binary transmissions is now documented, the ultimate origin, construction timeline, and true purpose of the facility require extensive ongoing analysis. Investigators have yet to confirm whether this subterranean complex represents an ancient, non-human monitoring installation functioning on self-sustaining energy cycles, an ultra-classified military research project constructed deep within the mesa that escalated beyond initial operational controls, or an interconnected node within a larger global energy grid extending far beyond the Uinta Basin. Furthermore, the deep vertical shafts extending straight down beneath the central basalt floor into ancient basement rock remain completely unexplored, as multidisciplinary teams begin analyzing recovered mineral, slurry, decoding the high-speed binary transmissions, and mapping the floor grid's electromagnetic loop. The unsealed facility inside the mesa stands as an undeniable physical reality. The research at Skinwalker Ranch has permanently evolved, delivering measurable physical evidence of an active, advanced infrastructure operating deep beneath the desert floor. The central question facing science is no longer whether something is hidden inside the mesa, but who designed this underground power grid, and what will happen across the ranch as its full system architecture is brought back online. If you enjoyed this documentary series, be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments below.